Hi neighbors, it's Sharon from Grace's Neighbor Sharon. This video is part of the 5 under $5 open challenge, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on in the video. Ornament project number 1, cardinal in a hoop. I did a cardinal ornament last Christmas season. I'm doing another one. I love these cardinals. They came from Dollar Tree, 2 to a pack. I have this doorknob hanger. This also came from Dollar Tree last year. I think just 1 in a pack though. I always have some gold hoops in my stash. This one is 5 inches. So I'm going to put the door hanger inside the gold hoop, and I'm going to put the cardinal inside the door hanger. And the cardinal fits just perfectly, or just nicely, however you want to say it. I spent a little time here messing around with the bow and the strings and the bells because it was all like wound up and messed up because it's been in storage for like at least a year, if not more. I also ended up trimming the longest part of the door hanger, the bellet that hangs the lowest. It just didn't look good. It was too low, and I didn't think it would look good on the Christmas tree. Here I was attaching the door hanger to the gold hoop with the floral wire. I just did it on either side for now. Then I'm going to wrap the gold hoop with some of these branches. They're like flexible, like, you know, like a pipe cleaner, chenille stem. And I'm just going to wrap it. It takes 2, so I'm just going to wrap the branches all the way around. It kind of can't really tell that there's floral wire in there making that hoop stay. And that's the cool thing about it. I do, however, put a little bit of glue behind the cardinal's head just to make him stand up nice and straight. And that's all it takes. I have a little bit of this Christmas design ribbon. I've actually got 3 different kinds of ribbons, so I'll be using all 3 of them in all 5 of today's projects. That's what it looks like, and I'll give you a better look in the final reveal. Ornament project number 2, paintbrush Santa. So the brush on the right there is my inspiration. There's some ribbon and baker's twine that I might use. There's a mop, like a fuzzy mop. That's from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use that for the hat. And here's my paint that I flew back from Canada with, and no spills on this one. I was so happy. If you remember my last video, my DIY paint spilled all over the place. My sister suggested doing the paint around it instead of across, and it worked. If that makes sense to you, I suggest you do that the next time you're flying with some DIY paint. The acrylic paint, I just put 2 in a sandwich bag and it was fine. I think it's the design of the top that kept the paint from leaking out. So there's the little paintbrush. I believe when I purchased it was a chippy brush. It was called a chippy brush. So I'm going to try and duplicate what my other paintbrush looks like. Yes, we've seen a lot of paintbrush Santas and paintbrush gnomes, but my inspiration was the one that I already had in my stash that I wasn't using that had the dried paint on it. I'm like, oh, it's a Santa beard. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I should do a paintbrush Santa. So that's kind of how this came about. I'm just using a piece of wood. It's a cut up paint stir stick. And again, trimming the beard just to give it a little bit of roundness and a little bit more clean and trim. I just put it in a plastic container to let it dry. Then I'm coming in with some red acrylic paint. This is acrylic paint that I brought back from my mom's. I actually purchased it a couple years ago and left it in Canada. The last time I was there, I couldn't find it. And then this time, I found it in the laundry room. Just tucked away in a dark cupboard, and it's It's like perfect. It's the tops come off fine. It's not thick. It's not gloppy. It's just like I had bought it yesterday. So very happy with that. So I went ahead and I kept that in my room so I would remember to bring it home in my luggage. This little bead here I painted white, and while it was still damp, I rubbed my red paintbrush over and then stuck it on the end of a paintbrush to dry. So the paintbrush is ready for its transformation. We're just trimming this little piece of the mop that I cut off. And I'm going to hot glue it just underneath that little hole there. That I'm going to tie some baker's twine through that hole, and that's what's going to hang it on the tree. And that's all you need, just that one little dab of glue. I tried doing the eyes on camera, and the more I tried, the worse they got. So when you see Santa's eyes in the final reveal, they'll look a little better than they do right here. I'm going to hot glue that little bead on there. There's Santa's nose, and there's Santa, and you will get a better look at him during the final reveal.
Hey neighbors, it's Sharon again from Grace's Neighbor Sharon. Just jumping in with a little bit more information about the playlist. It happens every month on the 5th. It's called 5 Under $5, and this month's theme is Christmas tree ornaments. Our guest host is Karen from the Loft Home Decor with Karen, and of course our host is Emily from Farm Charm Chic. Their channel links and a link to the playlist will be in my description box below. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video.
Ornament project number 3, pot holder Christmas bouquet. So I think this pot holder came from Dollar Tree last year. The florals, probably most of them came from Dollar Tree this year, and then a few might be older. And some are just some picks that had, pieces of them trimmed off, and then I just saved what was left. So this is actually a really nice quality pot holder. It's rubber on the back, you can see. And I don't know, I looked at it and I saw like a pocket of flowers, Like in spring you might do like a denim pocket of flowers. So we're doing a pot holder pocket of flowers. I'm going to start with this wood snowflake. I think it came from Dollar Tree. A lot of times I'm crafting from my stash, which is why I don't really go into detail about how much everything cost, because I'm crafting from my stash. I didn't go out and get anything special. A lot of this stuff I've had for quite a while. And so it's nice when the 5 under 5 comes that I can use all this stuff. So that's just a wood snowflake, and instead of painting it, I did some Mod Podge and then sprinkled it right away with that gold, those gold sparkles. And I showed you those in a previous video. Those are some of the original supplies that I got from Grace's family when Grace passed away. And I really like the old bottle that came in, because you can shake it like you shake a salt and pepper shaker, instead of having to shake like the whole thing and then tap it off. So that's kind of nice. And this ribbon, I believe, came from Temu, and that's last year as well. I like the red and green with it. I did red and green in the project before this, and I'm going to do red and green after this project. So I just made the awareness shape, scrunched it in the middle, wrapped some floral wire around it, and then dovetailed the ends. And I'm just going to hot glue that on an angle above the snowflake. Now, if you're looking at this going, why is she doing this on an angle? Like, what is wrong with her? There's actually nothing wrong with me. The pot holder hangs on an angle, so I angled everything else. Do you see where I'm going here? So the bow's above the snowflake, and then when I get the florals in there, you'll see they're going to be on an angle as well.
But watch to the end, because there's a little trick that I didn't think I needed to do and ended up doing, and I want to show you that. And it's right before the end of this project. So I just kind of pulled out a lot of florals that were in my stash, and I trimmed a bunch of them off the original pick. Then I made, this one's got 3 little picks on it, and I made another one exactly the same. I just wrapped floral wire around the bottom of them. So there's 2 of them. We've got the pinecone, the berries, and 1 red poinsettia. And then I'm just going to fill it in, because it was looking a little spindly looking. So I wanted it to be fuller, so I just popped in some other random things. Now I realize it's just falling, it's like too front heavy. So in addition to the floral foam that's in there already, and there's also some paper towel in there, I also just trimmed off the top of a box and put that in the very, very back to kind of stiffen it up so it would hang better. And there I go, just filling it up, making it fuller, like I said. And I'm losing some paper towels there, but I'm just going to stuff those right back in. I don't know if my glue gun was kind of dying when I was doing this. I don't know. I don't think it worked there. Yeah, like it would flash and then stop. So I'm just going to leave everything as is. I was going to staple it, but it didn't work. So there you have it. Better look at the final reveal. Ornament project number 4, Christmas peat pots. Say that 5 times fast. These aren't actually peat pots, but I call them peat pots because they function as peat pots, but they're some kind of wood. And I got them off Amazon. The ribbon, probably all of it came from Dollar Tree and just leftover floral foam. I'm taking 3 peat pots. I decided to do 3 because they're so small. And I'm just poking holes in the side with one of those little screwdrivers. And I'm not making them too big because I'm going to paint them. And when these pots get painted, they get like really sort of almost mushy, you know, like they soak up all the paint. And so they're just kind of like, you know, they're not super strong. So you just got to be careful. And I didn't want a big old hole that was going to gape open because the wood part was just like all wet. I don't even know if that made sense, but it's getting late. So I used a little bit of some peel and stick wallpaper on the top there, and then I painted the middle with some red acrylic paint. You know, you can definitely freehand this if you want, or paint it all one color. You could wrap it with paper, or wrap it with ropes or twine. You know, there's a lot of different things you can do with these little peat pots. I was liking the red and green on the plaid ribbon. It was red and green, and then the contrasting lines were kind of yellowish. So I thought, well, I'll do red, green, and then the contrast will be the white. So that's how this color combo came to me. I'm going to show you the first peat pot just so you get an idea of what I did there. And then I did the other 2 exactly the same. Put them upside down to dry. They're not completely dry. You'll see my hands get a bunch of paint on them. But I'm just going to do the white for the top here. I'm just going to try and be careful to not let it bleed into the red. This is acrylic paint. This is all acrylic paint. Green, red, and white are all acrylic paint. That's paint that I brought home from my mom's in Canada. And I just want to show you that I'm doing all 3 pots. I didn't show you painting, you know, the whole thing, but here in the end, I just want you to see it's actually pretty easy to paint, even holding on to it. And since it kind of soaks into that fibrous woody material there,
it kind of dries pretty fast. But it's like the paint's dry, but the pot is damp, if that makes sense. I was going to put on a little bow, but my glue gun is totally gone. It needs like an overnight charge. So there's how I did the ribbon in the first one. I poked it from the outside into the middle and tied a knot. So I just did that on both sides. So the knots are on the inside. You're not going to see them. If I had to do it again, I would make these hanging ribbons longer. You see one of them is short, one of them is kind of medium. Well, they really should all be just like larger. Because when I put the florals in, the florals that I'm using are sort of wide and bunchy, and it kind of takes over the ribbon. You can't really see the ribbon. So if I had to do it again, that's what I would have done different. Otherwise, I'm really loving how these are coming out. It's something I saw in my head, and it's always nice when what you see in your head sort of translates to what you actually create. So since I'm doing 3, and since the pots are exactly the same, I'm going to do the florals different in each one. So like this one has got some white and pink and light green. The first one had dark green and the red berries. When I'm doing florals or making little bouquets, I just kind of go with what looks good as I'm working on it. But I'm just going to finish off here, get these a little fuller, and I'll give you a good look at these during the final reveal.